Major struggles tonight for families with no internet access during this pandemic. They're worried about completing assignments and what their situation means for their kids' grades. Our Lisa Rontola spoke with one family during their battle.
In the middle of their spring break,
we go to fast food places or here at a school or library parking lots.
This Columbus mom and her 3 Columbus City School kids are experiencing no break at all.
Right now it's spring break, but we're still here. We have to come pretty much every day and try to get on.
We agreed not to identify this family who has no internet access at home. The kids are gifted.
If you try to connect to it, it just says can't connect to this network.
But can't complete assignments, including group projects with classmates.
And I can't talk to any of the people in my group to figure out what's going on.
One day we were here for about 3 hours and got about 20 minutes of work done.
Columbus City Schools says it surveyed 92 of its school buildings to check internet capability. They say Wi-Fi reaches its sidewalks and parking lots at 81 of its school buildings. We asked for a list of those schools, but have yet to receive it.
At all 4 schools, we've had the same situation, just getting kicked off, kicked, back on, kicked back off. It's really just been a mess at all of them.
This mom has also tried to call an internet provider now offering free service, but they were still going to charge for installation and rental.
Soon after I lost my job, we were all laid off, so there's absolutely no income right now.
Knowing other families are in this same fight, the CCS school board just approved to pay $35,000 to get some of them online. They've also just been donated devices to produce 500 hotspots. But a month into this school closure,
being outside today is crazy windy. We're kind of huddled in a corner here.
This mom says solutions should have come sooner, and her kids deserve better.
It's just a huge educational gap between the people who are privileged enough to have the access and the people who just can't get it.
I'm Lisa Rontola for Scoring Our Schools.
We're going to fight to tell our story. I hope the governor listens to this broadcast. I hope the governor hears our needs.
An Ohio school superintendent making a plea to our governor tonight to help put every child in this state online. Our Lisa Rontola went to Gallia County Public Schools, where the superintendent says more than 30% of his kids have no internet. She's scoring our schools tonight.
A week's worth of lunches and other essentials.
We're sending out laundry detergents. We're sending out soap.
Gallia County Public Schools sits more than 100 miles away from Columbus. And the superintendent here says his kids have vastly different needs.
People are saying, well, we'll get you hotspots. Well, hotspots have to connect to something. If you don't have a line to connect to or a tower to connect to, the hotspot does you absolutely no good.
Of his 2,400 students in his Southern Ohio district.
So to drive around our district, you're basically driving, forever.
Superintendent Jude Myers says up to 35% have no internet, meaning more than 800 kids.
So what they get is 10 books that they can keep.
Elementary school principals tell us parents are sending videos of their kids reading to teachers when they can. And they know teachers will have to review what kids missed next year.
As the math gets more difficult, that's where it becomes more difficult because the student probably needs some instruction.
On these tables at River Valley High School, the names of each teacher, they have compiled paper packets of their assignments for their students who say they can't access their online work.
We've been delivering meals, and when you go out and you see the conditions that our kids are experiencing, it is heartbreaking.
And that's why Myers says, like the hospitals, the state needs to prepare its kids and its schools for a prolonged pandemic.
If you're talking about an equitable and fair education, our kids deserve those same opportunities. And it's not their fault that the infrastructure is not in place.
I'm Lisa Rontola for Scoring Our Schools.
A major project to get every child online, sparked by a Scoring Our Schools investigation. We told you more than 30% of the students attending Gallia County Public Schools have no internet access at home.
Our Lisa Rontola tells us that the district received an unexpected call from someone who can help after he saw our story.
This is exactly a typical day for me.
Bus driver Bob Bentz.
I can't count the number of times when we've had cattle on the road.
Battles what he calls inequities in the Gallia County School District every day.
Hi. Snack back. Thank you. Kind of off the schedule a little today.
He fights his fight from the front line on an unpaved road behind the wheel of his school bus.
He's been out of work for the last, I think, 6 weeks or so, and he's got 3 daughters.
Bob has helped kids pay for school fees out of his own pocket and helps them do their homework knowing they have no internet access at home.
I've just made it a habit to turn the hotspot on my phone on.
And when districts across the state turned to remote learning at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic.
We are not going to, put up the white flag and say, woe is me. We don't have these things, so, oh boy, we can't do that.
We spoke with Superintendent of Gallia County Schools, Jude Myers, who said each teacher must also prepare paper packets for student assignments, as 30% of his kids are not online.
Hi, we brought a snack pack.
That's more than 850 students.
We're going to fight to tell our story. I hope the governor listens to this broadcast.
While Myers did not hear from the governor,
calls and says, hey, listen, I heard the story and we want to do something to help you with that.
he did receive a call from the owner of JB Nets.
The actual radius of one of these towers is usually 3 to 4 miles.
Jake Klein owns the internet provider in Gallia County.
It's tough enough for us having the ability, but those that don't, I'm afraid that the kids are going to kind of fall behind, the others.
Klein saw our story and wants to rework his system rollout to help.
We've had some folks kind of put our heads together and try to determine what we could do to potentially, bridge this gap or help as many as we possibly could.
He's asked for the addresses of all students without home internet to possibly determine new locations for his towers, each costing about $20,000 to $25,000 to install.
It does require a line of sight from the tower location to the end user.
He's been installing 4 to 6 new towers around the county per year.
A lot of the area down here, though, the terrain just makes it nearly difficult to even get landline phone service, let alone cellular or high-speed connectivity in the area down here.
Even with his help,
we're trying to move as fast as we can, but it is definitely a slow process.
Klein anticipates the project to cost about $500,000 and take up to 24 months.
I don't think you have a day when it comes to the life of a kid, but the fact that they're willing to help is gold.
That's why Myers is continuing to call on Columbus to improve student equity.
They don't have a cell phone, they don't have internet, and they don't have a car.
Knowing the struggles for his students with online learning will last.
It's not fair for every kid. These kids had nothing to do with where they live. They have no design over whether or not a cell tower or Wi-Fi or fiber or anything like that is coming to the county. They are a product of their environment.
JB Nets also discussed adding more dishes for hotspots throughout the county. Some are now at parks, but Klein said he'd also call on area businesses to put a dish on their property as well. Wi-Fi from those dishes can travel 400 to 500 feet, about the size of an average parking lot. Gallia County Schools called on us to help them tell their story. Do you have something you'd like us to look into? Call me at 614-481-6615 with any tips or education concerns. I'm Lisa Rontola for Scoring Our Schools.